I think today is a good day to explore the levels of freedom in the music and what that means. And it can mean a lot of things, because with any kind of freedom, there are always some kind of limitations. I guess there is no true, complete, utter freedom. That's probably too hard for us to do, to really totally be free, because there's always limitations. At some point you gotta pee, you know, you gotta go to the bathroom, you know, so you can't be completely, totally free. You gotta breathe oxygen, you know what I mean? So you can't totally be utterly free while you're in this body. Now maybe when we pass on, then maybe our spirit gets free and we're really free, but then that's a one-way journey. And no one has come back to tell us about that, you know what I mean? But so there's always some kind of boundaries with any, quote, freedom. But that's not a bad thing. That's fine, you know? That's reality. So I think one of the best ways to explore freedom anyway is to have boundaries, because it's much easier. I think being completely free I think we're so unused to it. It's so foreign to us that I'm not even sure how I would do it, to be really free, you know? But if you have a little boundary, let's say we're going to do it in a minute, actually, maybe, or in a short time, we'll get our instruments out or whatever, and we're going to be free on, let's say, C major. And that's our boundary. The only boundary is we're in C major, and that's the only boundary. And everything else is free, no rhythm, nothing, just C major. Or the boundary is rhythm, and play whatever you want, but it's in a certain rhythm, for example, you know. So the little parameter that gives us a little bit of a boundary will allow us something to put our feet onto. You know, we have gravity already, right? That's a boundary, gravity. So it's keeping our feet on the ground. We don't float off into space. So maybe we pick our, you know, we can explore something like that. And then, of course, with real standard jazz playing, there are more boundaries, but those also can be within those boundaries. A lot can happen, and I think if you really want to play jazz music well, or any other style of music that has improvisation in it, then I think a good way to explore, a good way to get better is to explore the different kinds of boundaries that you have. And I think I hadn't thought of it that way before, but the boundaries give you focus, and the focus can force you to do something new anyway. Like most of us play, we have our licks and we have our tunes and we have our songs that we sing, and that's what we do, and we get pretty good at that. But if someone says, okay, well now you gotta play that tune in 7. Okay, whoops. All the stuff I practice now doesn't fit anymore, so I have to find something new to do, right? And so that's an interesting way to think about boundaries in a way that they don't restrict you, they focus you. And then you can change it. Well, now let's play the tune in 3 instead of in 7. Okay, then it's a different set of, something different will come out of that. And if we I think the result of that is it gets us out of our mode, our normal mode, and in the end, because when I play, like I like to try to make it up as I go, like really make it up. But I did a lot of study about what I'm doing, so I know what's going on. I hear things around me and I can tell what's going on, right? Because of all the study. And then I work on being free from that. I work on not playing what I practice, right? Finding something that's outside of what's usual, and then whatever comes out is what comes out. And what's cool about that is that it's different than, even though sometimes you enjoy playing a riff or playing the same thing or playing something comfortable that you know, singing a lyric that you know and expressing yourself in that lyric or whatever, that's also cool. I'm just saying all this because we have this theme of independence, and it gives us an opportunity to explore the music from a different perspective. People who are exploring jazz, I think we want to learn to see what our boundaries are, and then learn to be independent of our boundaries. We're going back to our independence theme. You know, like feel what those boundaries are, and let's see what it takes for us to get away from those when we want to. You know, and in that way, I think we can learn to make things up. Like we can explore that possibility as a jazz improviser. That's one of the beauties of the music, is that you can play in a groove and play something real simple like a normal riff and just have fun with that. Like you can just say, like just get a groove, right? And that's cool. That's jazz in a way. It's not improvised. Well, it's a little improvised actually, because I was just kind of making it up. But it's really a riff. It's about rhythm, it's about groove, and it's about swing, and it's about little dance and motion, right? So that's the whole thing. And you know, jazz in its early days, I mean, before it even became really improvised and what it's evolved to now, was really about this. It's about, you know, getting everybody, a way to get the people together, a bunch of people together, and celebrate whatever. And our connector, our common thing, the thing that brings us together is the music and the groove. And if 20 people do that, the whole room, everyone within earshot will be like popping and dancing. So that's that, and that's jazz. So, but then, again, with Louis Armstrong, something amazing happened in that he was one of the first guys, but Buddy Bolden, King Oliver too, and some of the other guys, Sidney Bechet and all the early guys, you know, within that's your boundary, let's say, right? And so that's your gravity, as it were. And then around that comes all this other possibilities. And so we can look at the sound, rhythm, scale, form, song thing as a part of the building that we're in. And then we can just chill out in that building and just do our thing, or we can run around the building and just see what that is, you know, as if we're like a bird flying around the building. And I think that's another way to look at it. So it's different than, you know, being a part of the building. Like building, you know, having it's different than just being at the floor and just relaxing on the floor. And now you're flying around it. And I think that is well, one thing's for sure. In order to do that, it really helps to understand the building, and that's a lot of why in jazz education we teach you about chords and scales and rhythm and sound, because you really have to, if you're gonna play in a building and fly all around it, you really have to understand how the building is made, like where are the corners and what's in, because you don't want to, if you don't understand what a window is, like if you watch like a housefly or a bee, and they don't know what a window is. So they're in trouble because they can't really express themselves because they're bouncing off that window all the time. You see it in the summer. Bzz, 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 bzz. It's like that's someone who's playing jazz who doesn't know jazz, who's trying to play jazz, but they don't know what they're doing. They don't know the boundaries. They don't know the floor. They don't know the building. They're just bouncing off the friggin' wall or bouncing off the window because this clear thing that doesn't let you go through it doesn't compute because they didn't study it. They don't know what that is. So now they can't really be free. They can't really express themselves really because they don't know what's going on. You gotta learn what's going on. That's why we do all that study. So then we can fly, and we know that windows are windows. So we're not trying to fly through the window. We just say, hey, window, what's up? And keep going. Enjoy the sun. And actually it's great because the rain that's coming is not splashing me in the face. I can just look at the rain and then go and fly some more. And that's, and jazz, I think, so the boundaries have a value. But then if you learn the boundaries, then you can just, there's all this, you can fly around that stuff and go there, and that's one solo. And another solo goes in there, and all this, you can fly all through this and just be creative and have fun and be free within. Again, we know that boundaries are a part of existence. They're a part of life. So you gotta have a boundary. The more you know about the music, the bigger your house is. The more scales and chords you master, the better your technique, the better your sound, the more music you study, that you got a bigger and bigger house. Now you got the whole city to fly through because you really studied jazz music is like a city. And you learn all the different corners and nooks and crannies, and then as an improviser, that's what modern jazz is. It's a city. And you can fly all through the city in 3 dimensions or more dimensions, all through the leaves and all through the wires and everything, and underground and all that, if you study the city.